In this explainer, we're not just going to talk about Bitcoin. Oh no, we are going on a hunt. We're joining the global search for a ghost, a figure who literally reshaped our world and then just vanished. Our target is the mind behind the entire cryptocurrency revolution.
So let me ask you a question. Who do you think is the wealthiest, most enigmatic person alive today? It's not a CEO you've heard of, not some monarch, and definitely not a tech founder who's all over the news.
The person we're looking for controls a fortune of, well, roughly $120 billion. And get this, it's a fortune that's been sitting in a digital vault, completely untouched for over a decade, just quietly growing as the world watches. Yeah, this person is basically a phantom. They just showed up online back in 2008, laid out the plans for a brand new financial order, and then, after about 3 years of anonymous emails and forum posts, they were just gone. The name they used? Satoshi Nakamoto.
So to find Satoshi, we first have to understand the motive, right? Why would someone create something like Bitcoin in the first place? The answer isn't buried in code. It's in the messy history of money and the failures of the system we all use every day.
You see, for decades, the system was showing these deep cracks. After World War II, money was tied to the US dollar, which was backed by real gold. But in 1971, that all changed. The link was cut, and that basically gave governments a blank check to print money. This all came to a head in 2008 with the global financial crisis, where reckless banks nearly cratered the entire world economy and got bailed out with our money.
Now this is not just some random headline. Satoshi Nakamoto embedded this exact text into the very first block of Bitcoin ever mined. It's like a digital fossil, a permanent timestamp, and a really clear political statement. Bitcoin wasn't just a cool invention, it was a protest. Okay, so we've got a powerful motive. But what exactly was this invention? Let's do a quick breakdown of how this whole new system actually works, without getting bogged down in all the technical jargon.
The heart of it all is the blockchain. Really, the easiest way to think of it is as a shared digital notebook. Every transaction is a new entry. But here's the key. Instead of one bank holding the notebook, millions of computers all over the world have an identical copy. It's public, it's transparent, and, most importantly, no single person or company is in control.
And what this does is it lets us send money without needing a bank in the middle. When you send Bitcoin, that request gets broadcast to this huge global network. Thousands of computers, we call them miners, all race to verify that you actually have the money. Once enough of them agree, boom, the transaction is locked into the blockchain forever. No middleman, no central authority. And this is the real masterstroke. Satoshi programmed a hard limit right into the code. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. That's scarcity. That's the whole point. It was designed to be the complete opposite of endless money printing that makes our regular currencies worth less over time. All right, so we get the why and we get the how. Now for the main event, the investigation into the who. I mean, a genius with this kind of skill and this kind of motivation has to leave some clues behind, right? Let's dive into our list of suspects.
You know, the hunt for Satoshi is just littered with these dead ends. There was poor Dorian Nakamoto, an engineer in California who just happened to have the same name. Big tech guys like Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey get thrown around, but they just don't fit the profile. And then there's Craig Wright, who has spent years in court swearing he's Satoshi, but has never ever provided the one single piece of proof that could end the whole debate in a second.
The real suspects, the most credible ones, they all come from this group of privacy activists known as the cypherpunks. You've got Adam Back, whose tech is a core part of Bitcoin. He even emailed back and forth with Satoshi. There's Hal Finney, the very first person to ever receive a Bitcoin transaction. And then you have Nick Szabo, who, way back in 1998, came up with an idea called BitGold that was just eerily similar to Bitcoin. Of course, all of them say it wasn't them.
But of course they deny it, right? I mean, that's exactly what you'd expect from someone who worked so hard to stay anonymous. And while the others have pretty solid arguments for why it isn't them, the mountain of circumstantial evidence around one guy, it's just too big to ignore. So let's build the case for Nick Szabo.
Okay, Exhibit A. Just look at the blueprint. On the left, you have Nick Szabo's BitGold idea from 1998, a full decade before Bitcoin even existed. It describes a decentralized digital currency, secured by proof of work. On the right, you have Bitcoin. The core concepts? They are functionally identical. Szabo basically laid the entire intellectual foundation. But it's not just the big ideas, it's literally the words themselves.
Back in 2014, a research team did a full forensic linguistic analysis of everything Satoshi ever wrote and compared it to the top suspects. Their conclusion was just stunning. Only Nick Szabo's writing style, with its unique phrasing and even formatting, was a close match. And maybe the most damning clue of all is right here in this timeline. Before 2008, Nick Szabo was constantly blogging. Then, right as Satoshi Nakamoto appears online to build Bitcoin, Szabo goes completely silent. For the 3 years that Satoshi is active, Szabo is a total ghost. And then, almost to the day that Satoshi disappears forever in 2011, Szabo's public activity just resumes. It's a perfect inverse correlation. It's just suspicious. And it doesn't stop there. The little clues just keep stacking up. After Bitcoin launched, people noticed Szabo had mysteriously changed the date on his old BitGold blog post, trying to make it look like he published it later. In Satoshi's white paper, he credited a bunch of pioneers, but suspiciously left out Nick Szabo, the one person whose work was the most similar. And then there's this slip of the tongue in a podcast where Szabo accidentally said, "When I designed Bitcoin," before quickly catching himself.
Look, let's be clear here. There is no smoking gun. No one signed a cryptographic key. Nobody has confessed. But when you start connecting the dots, the identical concepts, the unique writing style, the disappearing act, and all these other little clues, the mountain of evidence starts to point overwhelmingly in one direction. And that leaves us with this one final, absolutely mind-blowing thought. Unlike some of the other candidates who have passed away, Nick Szabo is very much alive. If he is Satoshi, that means he is sitting on the private key that controls over 1 million Bitcoin. So what do you think would happen to the markets, to the world, if the ghost who started it all one day decided to move his $120 billion fortune?